You guys are just ready for the camera.
I mean, we're kind of take us as we are a couple, so.
You like us or you don't.
Right.
Really? Yeah.
They're going to find out.
Yeah, they will.
They're going to find out. But yeah, man, I thank you guys for making this happen. I want to know about your whole marriage journey.
Oh, boy.
And
Where did we begin?
no, I'm going to throw them at you. I'm going to throw the questions at you. But first of all, Charles and Imani, tell us how you met. I know there's two versions of the story. There must
No,
be.
there's only one version, which is the right one. He just adds things to it
Yeah,
that never happened.
that make it another version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Okay. Who's first?
Go ahead.
You can tell your story.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Are you going to add in where you see fit? So we met, I was 16 or 15, 16, and you were
18 and
18, 19 at a youth conference in Texas. So he was the youth liaison for the conference, and I was attending the conference. I thought he was a nerd, which is still true to this day, because he used to walk around with his phone attached to his hip and collared shirt.
What kind of phone is that, man?
No.
No?
It was when the
Oh no, hi.
when
It's
the new
different
phones
age.
came out.
With the arrows
They
sticking
had
out.
no. The new phones came out. They had the screen and the QWERTY keyboards.
It was like a sidekick, the one you.
But no, it was just a regular screen. It was one of the I can't remember. It was Motorola, but it was a silver Motorola and had a screen that you could touch, but it also had a QWERTY keyboard on top.
Either way, he looked like.
But I tucked my shirt in. I had a belt
looked
on.
like he was
I had a clip on.
in his 30s or 40s, and I'm like, dude. Like all the other youth leaders were dressed how normal college kids dress, and then here he comes dressing like the professor or lecturer. Anyway, so we met there, and then we became friends on Facebook, but we didn't really talk or anything. Fast forward, I go to university, and I go to apply for a job. So I was 20 at this time. I go apply for a job, and he ended up interviewing me. So that's how we re-met.
Charles, did you make that? Was that a coincidence? Or was that the plan?
No, it was a coincidence.
Okay.
It was cool.
Okay. That's sly. That's pretty sly. You know what I mean?
That was 6
That's
years
slick.
later. No, it was 6
Slick
years
and
later.
sly.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who she was. She
I
was like,
recognized him.
I know you. And I was like, okay. Because I had been around campus. I had been passing out flyers, because I was running a volunteering program. So you have to go and recruit. So I figured, we'll probably have been on campus a lot. She's like, no. And then I interviewed her, and she's like, I think I know what it is. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. And then she left, and then a couple of days later, because she went home, she brought a photo album. And there we were in her photo album.
No.
We were in your photo album.
Well, on Facebook.
No, I was on your photo album.
No,
or
it was Facebook.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Still a photo album. And there we were in a group taking a picture.
Yeah.
And so that's how we knew each other from the time in Smalley.
Yeah, and then you
Conference.
started asking me out a lot.
No, she was dating someone. And I was like, okay, whatever.
You stole her.
No.
No, he didn't steal me.
I didn't steal.
At
She
the
was a
time, I
damsel
still
in
thought
distress.
Okay.
I was
And then
not.
I came in and saved
You were
her.
with the wrong guy.
Damsel.
You was with the wrong
This
guy. And he just set you straight.
No.
Exactly.
Well, technically, yeah, he was the wrong guy. But we were just friends, and then me and the guy broke up.
She came crying.
I did not come crying.
What did you come as?
I just came as hey, buy me food because I just got my heart broken. So, and I'm in college and I'm poor. So feed me. That's how I came. And then
I invited her to the house, to
Yeah.
a housewarming, because I had just bought my first apartment. So, buy your first apartment, you feeling it. You like, yeah, I got my own place. And then she never came.
I didn't know you were ready.
After the food, you still didn't turn up.
So, okay.
She turned for the food. That was
he
at the
invited-
housewarming.
Yeah, he invited me to 3 separate dates. So the first one
Never
was the
showed up.
housewarming, in which I didn't turn up, but I had a reason. My friend got sick, so I had to take her to the hospital. So that's why I couldn't turn up.
Second reason.
The second time, I didn't think he was serious. I just thought, I don't know what I thought.
Third reason.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just say yes just to say yes. But then one night I was really, really hungry and I had no money and little to no gas in my car. So he said, "Hey, do you want to come over and I'll cook your favorite food?" And at the time, I think I said shrimp scampi. And
Shrimp what?
Scampi. It's an Italian dish.
Scampi shrimp.
yeah,
Is that lemon and?
yeah, it's like a lemon mango.
Yeah.
I know.
So he made it, and then took me for dessert, and then we went for a walk. And then I say he forced himself on me because I was in the middle of a conversation, and he just kissed me, and I was just like, "What the hell?" And he was like, "Yeah, I just had to get out the way to see if there was something there." And I was like,
Man's got swag.
"Who does this?"
He just launched.
Exactly. Why wait? Like, do you want to do this? Why ask the question?
Yeah. So then,
I bought you all that food. You might as well just
Exactly.
follow through. You know?
Exactly. I'm following my investment.
oh my God,
Sorry, you were saying. Sorry.
so annoying.
You better kiss me. I bought you food.
Yeah.
Then it's been history.
Yeah, we've been together
We've been
almost
together
every
since
day.
then.
So how many years is that now?
5. Well,
We'll
5
make
years
5 years
married.
married, 7 years together.
Yeah.
7. Oh,
Yeah.
you're getting old. I'm getting seasoned.
This is it.
This is
This is.
marriage. This is marriage. I'm getting old, but she's getting seasoned.
I am.
Which, there was a great sermon about that, but I'll talk about that later.
You lot don't need me here, you know. All right, I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna.
No.
Sit back and watch
Yeah.
the show.
Oh
No,
no.
but we did. I mean, it was interesting because I think someone else asked us recently, and when we thought about it, it was really just coincidence. It wasn't something that was planned. It was we saw each other, we fell off, we met back in DC, and then it just seemed like we started dating. A year later, we got engaged. I think it was 6 or 7 months after that we were pregnant, and then 2 months after that we bought a house, and then 6 months after that we got married, and a month later we had a baby.
It's just
So
been a
it was
lot.
it was really interesting.
That sounds like a lot in a short space, man.
It
was.
is.
It was
is.
scary, but it was a lot. I think it had to do a lot with my upbringing because I was like, I'm living in an apartment, I got a fiance, and I got a baby on the way. Ain't my lifestyle. Like, I need to have a house, and obviously thinking as a black man, I'm like, I need to build wealth. It was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, how do I do that? It was a bit to buy a house. It was the most important wealth to have is property, especially in the States.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I need to buy a house. Let's do this. We did it earlier instead of later. But we probably would do it again anyway when we're older. But we won't work.
We would.
But we will be retired.
No, we won't. You can do that by yourself.
Oh, that's
I'll be at
fine.
home.
That's fine. I'll go on my trips then.
Yep, go ahead.
All the places
Bye.
I missed because of working and everything else.
Done. That's how you negotiate.
Yeah.
Your perceptions at the point of engagement, when you became
Engagement or
engaged,
engagement.
engagement,
Oh, okay.
to now, what has changed in your perceptions and your experiences and your conclusions? What's the different? Like, what do you know now different from when you were engaged?
Looking back now, I don't know. Marriage is such a grown up. It's such a like, oh yeah, get married. And I'm looking back now. I'm like, why rush into a marriage? Like, why didn't we have a longer engagement? Because I feel like we kind of missed out on some of the fun planning stuff. Because we got engaged in March, and in that November I was pregnant. So like, then we were like, oh, let's get married, because we both grew up in a religious household, so it's like you're bringing a child in out of wedlock. Although it's a different day and age, we both felt that pressure of you need to be married. But I would have been fine just being your
She would have
fiance.
been. I wouldn't have been.
For the next 7 years.
Not 7, maybe like
Another year or so.
yeah, another year or so until we got our foot in the door. But then I also look at it as that's a year where we live kind of separate lives. Because when you're married, I feel like I'm entitled to more as your spouse. He's entitled to more as my spouse. When you're engaged, you can walk away at any point, and that's a feeling I don't think I would have wanted in our space.
Especially with the child.
Yeah, and having our son in that.
I think a lot changed actually, because I was very liberal, but not politically, just liberal in the sense of like, I walked in thinking this is not going to be a sexist marriage. You know, I'm going to do 50, she's going to do 50, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with our gender. It had to do with our interests. It had to do with the fact where our strengths were. And I think over time, a lot of that changed. Circumstances changed, and we ended up in some ways kind of a traditional, in some people's thoughts, what sex is marriage. Because I used to cook a lot.
That's interesting you say that.
Yeah. Because I mean, from my perspective, it works now because of our situation. But outside looking in, it would look very sexist because I used to cook, and I told her, I was like, look, this is my kitchen.
Yeah.
You don't come in my kitchen. If you want something, I will cook it. I'll do whatever, and I did all the cooking.
And how was
not all the cooking.
Well, most of the
like
cooking.
70% of it.
And you were cool with that?
Yeah, because he could cook. Back when he wasn't
A
vegetarian, vegan, all that, he could.
Now he's vegetarian, he can't cook.
Now,
the thing is, I've learned.
taste buds change.
Yeah.
So now it's just like,
I'm
like, did you season this at all? Like, what are we doing?
It's different.
So now she does all the cooking because I'm hardly at home now with the job that I have. So it looks like I come home to my wife, honey, I'm home, and there's a meal prepared, and the son's ready to have dinner, and then we have dinner together. So there were things that seemed very sexist, but obviously as things change, I guess as we mature, but situations, we become a somewhat sexist family, because there are things that I go to work, I come home, there are certain things she wants me to do that seems to be manly. I take out the trash. Yeah.
Yes.
She washes the dishes, she cooks, she does the laundry.
But it's not because, it's just because I don't like the way you do it. That's the only thing.
Did you have traditional values?
Yes and no. The only thing traditional about me was like the guy has to take out the trash. I don't know why.
I thought most guys would be alright with that, you know?
It's so random.
Is that it? Yeah, is that it? Oh, okay.
That's the only thing I need you to just take out the trash. That's the only thing. So when when we got married, and he was like, yeah, I'll do all the cooking, I was just like, what? Because my dad does not cook at all. Like, it'd be a rainy day in hell if my dad cooked. So when he said that, I was like, oh, okay, sure. If that's what you would like to do, go ahead. And then he said, yeah, I'll wash my clothes one day. And I was like, why are you washing it? Like, I can do it. It's like, no, I got it. So then I found myself like, well, what do I do in this situation? If he wants to do it all, what do I do? So that's when I started doing little loads of laundry or cooking here and there. But I'm traditional only, just I need you to take out the trash.
You got it good, bro.
Yeah.
You got it good.
Yeah.
Lows and highs. Some benchmark events in your history, you know. Because I want people to first know that I think positive and negative makes the power. And I guess when you're going through something, it feels like it's the end.
Yeah.
And then, here we are, 7 years down the line. 7 years you've been together, right?
Yes.
7 years. Yeah, and so people have to know that they can pull through. What are your events? Where do you want to start?
I think the first event was moving in together.
Our studio apartment.
No, that was easier. It was the house when you were pregnant. I think was worse than moving in together in the apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Please enlighten me why. I feel like I'm a ray of
Because
sunshine.
in the house, in the house, you have a lot more freedom to do what you want. In the apartment, you didn't. In the house, she got in there and she wanted to paint the walls a certain way, and then she wanted to have trips written a certain way, and then she needed to have. And I'm thinking, we just moved into this house. Can I enjoy the house?
No.
Can I enjoy the house?
But why did we move into the house?
Because I chose the house. So the fact of the matter is,
let me decorate the way I want to decorate it.
But that was never an agreement. So I think we learned that.
What sense does it make for you to choose something and not expect me to have input?
Easy.
Oh my.
Are you talking about how you was thinking at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
So this is a past tense argument that we're having right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But he'll still do that today. Like if he saw another flat he wants to
Like
move
this
into-
one. I found this flat. I found this flat.
Yeah.
And I said this would be good for my family. And that's when I started to recognize that there were things I was doing that was sexist because I was making decisions without including my partner. But because I felt I needed to, I'm the one that made the decision to jump across the ocean, to jump into a new jump, to take us out of our house, out of our comfortability into a new place. I need to be able to provide. And so in my logical thinking, that I need to make sure that when they arrive, there's a place for them to sleep, there's a place for them to rest their head.
So you just like to take care of things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna take care of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did that? You know.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. But I think I should have learned the first time we moved into the house. And I didn't because I didn't see the house a bigger risk as I saw this risk. So even though I do judge British people to say you do things based on risk, not based on, or you're more risk averse than you are taking a risk. And I would see it as I saw myself as risk averse because I recognized, even though I didn't learn from the first time, I felt like this was something more riskier that we were doing that needed to be taken care of than just buying a house in DC and moving, a couple blocks down the street. So yeah, I think that was our first big blowout because there were times she was pregnant, and so obviously when someone's pregnant and you're arguing, having all this stress, that could have impact on the pregnancy.
But you didn't want me to paint a wall. Like, it was just...
I wouldn't put a hole in the wall.
Stupid. You were just...
Because she was like...
I would tell you were stupid.
Yeah, it's fine.
He didn't want me to hang a photo in a wall.
Why not?
For no other reason than he didn't
We
want
just got in the house.
He didn't want a hole in the wall.
And she was like, I want to... And then she slammed the door in my face. I remember this argument. Because she was in the room. I was like, for what? Why? She's like, because it's my child's room. I want to paint the house the way I want to paint the house. And at first, I was just like, whatever, don't do it. And I made the argument, said, this is my house anyway. And that just blew it up even more. And she slept downstairs in the basement for about a week after that argument. Yeah, and then she came back upstairs. And she was like, yeah, the baby doesn't like it when we argue. Because he kept her up all night. He would kick and he would put her in pain, really. And that's when it first settled me. That was like, yeah, this is not what I expected to be.
What are you saying?
I agree with that. Tripp is still like that to this day. If we argue, he'll say, "Mommy and Daddy, stop." But it was just random little stuff. And maybe because I was pregnant, the hormones, everything was just happening at once. But it was, you're moving us into a house that you found, didn't even consider me.
Well, we saw.
No.
We did see. We
did
saw
not
the
see.
house, and then
You saw,
I signed.
you put an offer in.
And then I got a call the next day, and I called and said, we got that house. Because she thought, oh, we're just going to go look at some more places. And I was like, no, I signed on that dotted line and offered the house, and we got it. And then she's like, oh, I want to go back and see it again. And I was like, okay, fine, go back and see it again. So yeah, and that made me think that, oh yeah, she actually didn't make a decision with me. So I'm like, okay. We saw every house together.
Except this one. So this is the one he decided to put an offer in on, and I was just like, for what? It was so random, but I think that house, it really brought us closer because it was
a very confined space.
Yeah, you're forced.
It brought you closer together.
Yeah.
Helped you to iron out some of those creases. A lot easier.
Yeah.
Because in the apartment, when you had a studio apartment, to get away from someone, you had to leave the building. You had to leave. You could go down the street. You could walk down and really just go somewhere else. In the house, you could still be in the house, but be on different floors. And so it wasn't one of those things where you could really just be disconnected from the situation. Like you could just close the door, walk out, and it's just behind you. You were in the house. You had to still deal with this fact that someone else is still in the space. Whether I was upstairs in the bedroom, she was in the basement, it didn't really matter.
I would run into you at some point.
Yeah, we were going to talk, it wasn't like you came back when you were ready. It was like, no, you need to go to the toilet, you got to go upstairs anyway. So you have to pass me to get to the toilet. So there's things like that makes you, and I know they seem small and they probably seem, minuscule to people who are engaged, but when you actually are in it and you realize that you just can't walk out the house in the middle of a neighborhood like that, and you start dealing with each other on a regular basis, it becomes very different. The environment does change. That was the first low. And I think we got to the lowest point when we started having conversations about separating and getting divorced after 2 years of marriage. Because we moved here.
2 years.
We moved here. We had been here. The trip was 2.
You were only married 2 years?
Yeah, we were only married 2 years.
What's your take on that actual event?
It was bad. We had just moved here, and my mom and her cousin came to help move us in. So then they had just left, and then he went on travel for like 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Over a 6-week period, I was only home for about maybe 5 days.
Yeah.
10 days.
So, and it was just me and Trip. Talking to him is not very enlightening. Right? So when you're just looking at the same, he was what, 2 at the time? 2, 3?
1.
Just looking at the same child every day. You can't tell him like, hey, your daddy's being a butthole. Like, help me out.
You could say it, but he wouldn't get it.
Yeah. And
Don't
then,
say it. That's not advice.
So that was rough, not having a partner here, being in a new country. So I can't really go out there because I don't know what is out there or where to go out there. I tried to go on the train, I think, one day, and I got lost. I was supposed to go to Canning Town. I ended up going Canary Wharf somehow. I don't know where.
Easily done.
So the absence of a partner physically, and then him working, so mentally he's not here. When he walked through the door, he was still working because you're on that 6-month probationary period. You want to make a good impression. So he's here physically, but mentally he's clocked out. So I'm a single parent in a country that I know nobody. I have no friends, no support system, no nothing. And he's thinking it's all fine. And that was not fine at all.
For you felt that he felt it was fine.
Yeah, he thought that was the nature of the beast. Like, yeah.
Is that would she be right in saying that? Yeah.
So that was
because it was part of the job. The thing is I took a deputy role to a senior executive in C-suite, and that executive had plans to become president of the institution, and so there were things that I ended up doing at the time because I was on 6-month probation, but because I wanted that job as well, not the presidency job, but the deputy role. So there were things I thought I need to do this because this could be long term, and this is a better opportunity to do things, to be in that role, which I wouldn't have gotten in the States anyway. So I'm thinking about the long term. Like, I've got to make sacrifices now for the long term. But that was a mistake because I'll never get that time back now. But ultimately, but you learn from it, right? So like nowadays, I leave work at 5. I shut everything off unless I honestly have to do something after 5. And then, it is what it is. But we got to that point because after 6 months of being here, my mother-in-law got sick and she had cancer, and then she died 30 days later or 40 days later. And then she was gone. My son was also gone because we send my son off to my side of the family for months at a time. And so...
Wait. Let's clarify. We don't send him
Yeah, we
off.
do. We ship his behind off. Look, since he was 4 months...
How else to say it?
You sound like you're just sending a package off. Like,
Exactly. We had 4 months.
You posted him?
I posted him.
UPS?
Actually, I drove myself.
Okay.
goodness.
Quality
drove him
control
myself
right there.
From DC to Texas, 22 hours, and he was there for a month. But no, we typically send him back to my side of the family, and her side of the family as well. And so we had done that, or we had gone down to see about my mother-in-law, and then his godmother came, picked him up, brought him to Texas. So we were doing mother-in-law, and then he was in Texas, and then the hurricane hit. In Texas. And my family was displaced because they were flooded out of the house. My son was home, and water was rising in the home to the point where they had to carry him, and the family had to tread through swamp water to get to high ground. And that's how bad the storm had gotten. It was the first time it happened in a very long time. So I had the son in Texas trying to figure out because he was staying in a shelter. He was staying in a construction site for a couple of days before they got into a hotel room. She was in New Jersey taking care of her mother-in-law, and I was here by myself. So So we had gotten to that position, and that was very stressful because we were all in different places. We're trying to keep in contact with each other. Obviously, I constantly kept working. There were days we didn't even talk to each other.
So leading up, so we moved here in March. From I would say
July.
April to June, we were arguing about his work schedule, his lack of availability, his lack of presence. And then I find out my mom has cancer, so we had already argued about all this stuff. So I was like, okay, mom has cancer, I have to go home. So I packed up all my stuff and I was like, I'm going home, not coming back. So when I left, I kind of shut off this life here. Like, okay, turn the page. Now it's a new day for me outside of a marriage. And then during my mom's cancer, we were trying to figure out where we were as people and then as partners. How good of a partner are you? How receptive are you? How committed are you to each other? So for 40 days we talked, and we're figuring it out. In the first, I'll say 10 to 15, it wasn't even like, oh, I love you, I miss you. It was just, oh, you're alive today. Okay, cool. Hang up the phone. Did you talk to your son today? Okay, cool. Hang up the phone. And somewhere along the line, it got to, do you want to be a partner to me? And then something changed. I don't know what for you changed. But he started to call more and want to be on the phone as opposed to just ask a question and hang up.
So you were on the edge of something.
Yeah.
It was like a this way or that way.
Very much so.
Yeah. Like we got to a point where she called me and she told me she went out with friends. And as a man, I saw it as 3 guys, 3 girls.
Yeah.
So you were triple dating. Not double dating, I was triple dating. So everyone had someone to go with. She's like, oh no, it was fine. I was just seeing friends. And I was like, there were 3 guys you named, and there were 3 girls you named. Really? You really don't see anything? Oh no. And I blew up. I was like, how dare you go and see this person? You know I don't like this person, and you gonna go hang out. And then y'all were 3-on-3. How I don't know anything else happened because you're just giving me a snippet. I wasn't there. So I blew up, and we had a huge argument that day.
But it was also the petty in me that was like, look, Negro, I'm out here, and you married me. So what are you doing to keep me? Nothing ever was going to happen.
We don't know that to this day. However,
I'm staying out of this one. I'm staying out of this one.
I give you petty back.
Nothing was ever going to happen. It was just one of those, you know.
I'm just glad that
ladies, y'all know when you try to G-check someone. Like,
I'm glad this was years ago.
It was.
This wasn't yesterday.
Oh no, it was.
Come on, man.
It was 2 years ago.
but
Really?
It was 2 years ago.
Okay,
I feel
too.
like
And-
we're at a good place though.
Yeah. And
You just as long as you're not there.
yeah, no, it was 2 years ago, and I blew up. I was like, you done lost your mind. You still married. You haven't given me an answer. So I had gotten to, and it was really interesting because I gotten to a point where she called me and said, Mom passed. And I was like, okay. And I think the next day, I was like, I was like, am I coming home as the husband or as the friend? Let me know. Because I had told my parents, and my father had already come down and helped my mom move out. My dad was already there with my dad was with his mom, which is my mom as well, because she adopted me. But they were there together with my son, and they were like, we'll be there next week in New Jersey. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll let you know when the dates and everything else. And they drove up to the funeral the following week. But I called her the next day, because obviously it was like first thing in the morning when her mom passed. So she had to sleep. It was already up for us, so I had to go to work. And I called her the next day. I said, am I coming home as the husband or as the friend? I need to know. because I'm not showing up knowing that we're on the verge of this. I either want to know we're committed, or I want to know this is not going to happen. And that's fine with me. I'm still going to come because your mother's, been really good to me. But I'm not going to come as the husband if we're not going to be in that position. And so we took about a couple of hours, called back that night, and she told me, she was like, no, I thought about it, and then I think we need to stay married. And then I was like, okay, so what are we going to do to make this work? And she was like, well, I'll see you when you get here.
She said, carry out the trash. That's what the answer was, right?
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking. Carry some trash.
Just that one thing.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I was like, wait, what? So and then even from that conversation, I was like, you need to come home then. You need to work on this with me at home.
Yeah.
And on hindsight, at the time I was like, this is like effing ridiculous. I was like, I wasn't sleeping, I was stressed, I lost a lot of weight, like I didn't like it at all. And she was gone from July, and I didn't see her till almost November. But I kept saying, you need to come home now. Like, okay.
But I wasn't ready to come home.
Right, but mom's gone. We're taking care of business. You need to come home. And then she kept saying no, but I think on hindsight, I appreciate the fact of her being away and not coming when she came, because in some of our conversations, and you probably explain this later, but there were things that she learned about her own parents' marriage that then brought even greater insight into.
Yeah.
If I brought her home earlier, she would have never learned that, and we'd probably be in the same position again.
Wow.
Because we hadn't learned anything from being apart. So we were all apart. I was apart from her. I was apart from him. And I was here. They were there. Like, I couldn't just get on a plane the next day and see them. So it was one of those things where I was glad she didn't listen to me about, you need to come home next. I was like, I'll buy you a ticket tomorrow. You need to come home. This ain't working. So we agreed on a date, which was much later in the year. And she came. She came on that date, which is I was very happy she came on that date.
She thought I wasn't going to get on the plane.
I didn't think she was going to get on the plane because it had been so long.
Yeah.
It had been 3 months. Well, it had been July, it was November. But from the time we had decided we were going to still be married to the time she had come, and it had been almost 2.5 months. So I'm thinking, she's probably gotten jittery feet. She's changed her mind. Other things have happened, so she's not coming. But she did, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was that moment I recognize and I reflect on, what if I didn't say, are we still married or are we not? What if I was I just came home and thought everything was just hunky-dory and didn't address the problem? I wonder what would happen.
Like you were doing while we were here.
Yeah.
A lot of people jump out of this boat for less. And I can honestly say that at the points where it feels like it could be a mistake or it's over, and still pushing to where you are now. And I can say this from personal experience, and it's not just me, where if you didn't, you could have got out of the boat.
Easily.
Yeah, we were separated. I mean, technically, we were physically separated.
So I could have did whatever, and he would have known until a few business days later.
We still don't know, but
So ridiculous.
I'm gonna use it. I got enough ammo to just keep going.
For the rest of my life, that's all I'm gonna hear. What did you do on that triple
We
day?
just don't know.
Spare me.
And you're laughing about it, I guess.
Yeah.
You're laughing about it, and that is enough for some people, And I applaud.
Thank you.
I applaud that.
We didn't have an expensive marriage. I mean, a wedding. So
You didn't have an expensive wedding.
We didn't.
No.
It wasn't glitz and glamour. It wasn't about the wedding. We decided we're gonna get married. Went to the courthouse, called people.
So we did.
Yeah. Went to the courthouse.
Had a
got
barbecue.
married.
I recommend it, by
Had
the
a
way.
barbecue. Yeah. Had a barbecue.
Best decision ever.
I think we only spent $500.
Yeah.
In total.
Come
I
on,
bought
man.
the food. I got a new grill out of it, and we went down to the court and paid $110
That's what
for
I'm
the
saying.
judge, and it was it.
That's
Like,
what
that
I'm
was
saying.
it, and everyone flew in and we took pictures and everything. We have a few pictures on the wall.
It's about that.
And so there was no kind of, there was no big plans, no big wedding. There weren't like 12 bridesmaids who had to get dressed. We didn't have to pay for everyone to eat, because we didn't agree on that either, but we'd have to pay people to eat. There wasn't this whole thing that this is what our marriage is.
It was the commitment.
We were already in doing the business of the marriage, getting a house, getting ready for a baby, making sure things were in place, baby proofing, all other stuff. Now, I don't necessarily recommend it, but in our situation, that's what it was. So there was no time to think about, oh, I want to have this venue and I want to have that venue, even though we did, but that was before we were pregnant. But once we got pregnant, it just changed everything. Yeah. So I can see why people get done for less.
Yeah, and even then, because there's a show that Juanita and I, there's a couple shows that we watch. Like, there's one, Married at First Sight.
I like that one, though.
I like that show.
I love that one.
I like the premise of it. I just don't know if I could do it. If I married you at first sight,
we wouldn't have made it.
We would not have.
Wouldn't have made it.
But you see, it's interesting because I think you can get married after a long courtship, engagement, and then break up, divorce.
Yeah.
And then you can get married on the first day and make it, as one or two couples are. And when you're watching these couples, you're like, keep going. A little bit more humility, take a little more time, be a bit more flexible. You will make it. With a lot of these couples, not everyone. And that sounds like what you guys have done in part. And you're still on a journey, which is what I appreciate that you're presenting.
I think we enjoy having those tough conversations now. Before, when we had tough conversations, it was an argument or it was like, I have to travel the next day, so I don't care what you say right now. I'll be gone in 24 hours. But now when we have the tough conversations, he leans into it and is willing to talk about it more openly, as am I. And we've learned how to talk with each other and to each other and not at each other. Because I would say something like, oh, the trash needs to be taken out. And he's like, oh, all right. And he wouldn't understand. No, the trash, right now, it stinks. I need you, get up, go take it out. So
before, how would that have?
If I said the trash needs to be taken out, it would have been 3 to 5 business days.
Right.
And then the trash.
Or one of us can take it out. I can trash out. You can take it out. Because she was home all day. So the only thing she wouldn't touch was the trash.
This was the one thing to save your marriage. This was the one thing, bro.
You see?
But the house would be the couch would be all vacuumed and sprayed. The TV.
You had one job.
No dust. There would be no dust in this house.
Wow.
That's how much it was clean when I walked into.
Thank you.
But the one thing.
Only thing I needed you to do
was that trash. I said, I'm sorry. You were here and my logic. You were here 8 hours a day. You cleaned everything else. The bathroom. You washed. You folded. Your behind couldn't take that trash out and walk downstairs for 3 minutes. You leave here, you walk downstairs, you hit the button, you throw it in the trash, you walk back up here. It only take 3 minutes, but I'm pretty sure up and down the steps, knowing her, 3 minutes. Yeah. You couldn't do that out of your 8 hour day? She was like, but I got everything else done. It didn't matter. Yeah. And I saw it as, if you're going to clean one thing, clean everything. Don't just leave that. No, it's fine.
Hey, look. Charles.
Say hi. Say hi.
Wait, say hi.
Hi. Caleb's into all of this. Well, he was. But you're nearly as big as Caleb. And you're both watching the same thing. Does that make sense? But think about it. He's not paying for Netflix, is he? But he's watching it more than everybody else. What do you think about that?
Should he pay for it?
Do you think that's fair? You think that's fair?
I think it's fair.
No. How is he earning money? He doesn't pay rent. He doesn't pay any bills whatsoever. He doesn't really do that. He does the dishes a little bit, but he's ironing his clothes now. Do you think it's fair that he gets to just watch Netflix more than everybody? Like, when I want to watch a show, the channel's blocked. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Is that good or bad?
Is that good or bad?
It's good, huh?
That's the life. Good night.
You want to go to bed? Good night.
Munchkin, love you.
Don't need us now. Yeah, Juanita and I are pretty good like that with the kids, funny enough.
But I can see people disagreeing with that because people are raised differently.
Yeah.
I was spanked. She wasn't. Or were you spanked?
Don't lie on my family, yes.
So we
not as much as him though, right?
Probably not.
Actually, no, I think I probably got spanked more than you.
No, you didn't. I'm pretty sure.
Think about it.
See, she got grounded. She didn't get spanked.
No, I never got grounded.
I've never got grounded in my life. Once. I got grounded once.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. I'll ask a question to you first. What is one of the most important things that you have learned in the last 7 years?
Forgiveness.
What do you mean?
When we were going.
Oh, so was you going to a list?
Huh?
Did you have a list of things that you've learned, or was you just going
No,
to...
forgiveness is the main thing.
Yeah.
When we're going through our dark time, learning to let go of a lot of the past conversations and hurts, and allowing him to really become the new him. So like, I could have easily have been like, the first sign of him bringing work home, like, oh, you're back to yourself, I'm out. Learning that, I mean, there's going to be times where he messes up. There's going to be times where he has late nights, and I'm going to have to just adjust and get over it. It's a part of marriage. It's part of his job. But allowing him the space to fulfill his personal goals with his professional life. And even now that he's in the church and very active in the church, there's going to be times where he's called on to go to places that I can't go because we have a child. So learning to not text him so much when he disappears a little while. And
Not disappears. Just,
no, you disappear.
You know where I am. I just don't communicate.
I don't know where you are.
We'll come to you then. That's the first one on the list.
Yeah, forgiveness.
Self-forgiveness?
Yeah. What have you learned?
Negotiation has to be a key part of everything. And I say negotiation because sometimes it's not a compromise. Compromise to me means that you're so polar opposite that you have to meet. But negotiation means that, well, no, obviously she knows I want to be a vice chancellor, president of a university. Obviously I want to move on to, Secretary General of UNESCO, things of that nature. So there are things I've got to do.
You just slid that in there. Hold on. Run that back. No. What'd you
Secretary General of UNESCO.
Wants to rule the world, basically.
Basically, rule the world.
That's news to me.
As Vice President of the United States. Vice President, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly, President of the United States.
Dick Cheney, right?
I wouldn't shoot nobody. But we had to negotiate. So she allows me to do evening events as long as I communicate those events in enough time for her to plan.
Communication.
So there's no compromise because I still have to do what I need to do.
What do you mean? Hold on. What are you saying? I don't know what you're saying. Are you saying...
So it's not like I can't do the event.
Yeah.
It is, I can still do what I need to get done as long as I'm effectively communicating.
So communication.
So it's negotiation.
Negotiation.
It's not compromise because I haven't in many ways
Compromise is
reduced.
like, yes, you could go to the event, but I need you home by 8 o'clock. Negotiation is, yes, you can go. Just tell me 48 hours in advance.
I'm going to be out late. So she's the thing about when you coming home. Oh, I'm not coming home tonight. I got an event tonight.
So what you're saying is that you've learned how to speak in a way that gets what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Whereas before it would be, I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, this is with the job. Well, I'm doing it.
Deal with it.
Yeah. His excuse for a lot of stuff, though, was, it's a part of my job.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, you can say no.
Can't you say no? Or can't you delegate?
You don't like to delegate. I've learned that. Very
I do now.
hard. Now you do.
Recently, in the last year and a half, I've delegated more. But yeah.
So you're learning.
Yeah. But things like sex gets better with time.
Yeah.
We hit a rut at a point.
Wait, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Sex gets better with time.
For Jesus, hold on.
You lot are funny, man.
It does because.
Okay, go ahead.
Because at one point, and she's made this comment a couple times, it was just good to do it. It felt like business, tick box exercise.
Oh yeah.
Now
we were like roommates. Like, all right, it's been 3 days. Hey, what's up?
We might as well, we had an agreement. Let's make this agreement work. Now it's just like...
Just go like this. Come on now, it's time.
Exactly. But now it's like... Let's explore.
It's like I like your pants today.
So what do? You got the dices and you roll them like, okay, what does that say?
Yeah. I just said...
The cards.
Exactly. It's just like, couch today. All right. That works. But we're married, all right? So we have to find a way
to... The bed is... Yeah?
Yeah. So we have to find a way to get around... Because sometimes it can seem so routine.
Yeah.
that it is a tick box exercise. It's just like, yep, I got mine's in, you got yours in, turn over and go to sleep.
Yeah.
But now, with over time, you start to recognize and realize how you can be different with your sexuality and your sexualness and understanding how to make your partner aroused and what that might look like.
Lord
And
Jesus,
so, so you learn that you just can't, what you thought you had at the beginning, because at first we had arguments. I was like, when we were dating, we would get like rabbits, and it wouldn't matter how many times a week, and da 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 da. And now it's we have to negotiate and everything else, and we just figured, yeah, that's not what we want.
If you take out the trash, I'll be good to go.
Lord have mercy. See, so
Charles, I don't know how you never got. It's just one thing you have to do, fam. It's just one. Oh, where's the bin? No, go now because.
And we're good to go.
Yeah.
Oh.
And people need to recognize that
It's true.
You have to work at everything.
It's true.
You can't just be like
that expectation. Because for me, I think the biggest thing in marriage. I mean, people have got their biggest things, and for me, the biggest thing is expectations, unmet expectations, and what you did in the honeymoon phase or when you were dating is not what you're going to do 10 years down the line.
Oh, no.
Or I'll be surprised if you be having sex the same way 10 years down the line.
I don't think it should be. People grow and evolve. Like the stuff I like now wouldn't be the stuff
what
I
we didn't
liked.
do when we were dating.
Yeah. It's different now.
There's depth
We didn't have
behind.
a couch.
So what did you do?
Exactly. The bed. But you're right. You start to recognize that there are things there's just things that are different. You want different things.
Yeah.
And people have to recognize, you're not the same person as you were when you were 20 versus when you were 30, even when you were single. So what makes you think that you'll be the same person 30 to 40 when you're married?
But a failure to recognize that just means that you're just unhappy, quietly.
Yeah.
And some people, they pursue other areas to fulfill
Oh,
where
yeah, no.
their marriage is not being fulfilled. But that's not happening here.
No.
Oh, no.
No.
I force him to do stuff he hates quite frequently. And he does the same thing to me. Like, he'll say something, let's go here. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to do. He's like, I do stuff with you all the time that I don't like. I'm like,
New foods is a pet peeve for me.
yeah.
What?
New foods is a pet peeve for me.
He forces me to
Now,
try
that's
new
one
Are we
thing-
talking about sex or are we talking about...
No,
No.
food.
Oh,
Eating.
food now. Okay,
Eating
sorry.
now.
Why was I still there? You know what I mean? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's go. Take me back.
But one of my pet peeves is
Yeah.
food. So I love to eat. I love to cook, so I love to eat. And I said I want a woman who will try new things.
Yeah.
Now obviously
I
that's
agree
very
to
broad.
that.
She agreed to it. However, when it comes to food, she doesn't.
No.
And it irks the hell out of me because she will say, ooh, try this, try that. And I'm like, fine. Because I like to try new foods, fine. But when I say, ooh, try this, she's like, no. What the hell? First of all, I do it for you.
Open your mouth now.
Exactly.
And smile. Smile.
Exactly. And she's like, no. And I'm like,
I think it's
And
just the way you
so-
present it. Like, who wants someone...
You had one job.
One.
He takes out the trash.
see, why I don't take out the trash? Because she won't try new food.
This is it. This is why the marriage won't work, man. You got
Exactly.
work. It's one. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you start to, and so that's one of the pet peeves that stuck with me. That's one thing that stuck with me from the time we were dating to the time now, because that's something that
Means a lot to you.
it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
But there are things that just at the time when I was 23, it doesn't really mean anything to me now at 31. So
But I think our sex got way better as we got
well, yeah,
older.
because we weren't arguing. We're not arguing anymore. We're not.
But I'm saying, like,
upset
compared to
to
when
be in
we
their presence.
first started dating to now.
Oh yeah, yeah. So when we were 23, 25, 26.
Better because.
We're more connected. Like,
Yeah.
we can literally be, like, on opposite sides of the room, see something, like, in the middle happen, and we'll just look at each other and laugh. Or I'll see someone walk in
We've
the
learned each
door.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this.
We're one of those couples that,
Yeah.
like, he'll do... Shut up. See?
Yeah, but you have a connection.
Yeah.
Listen, come on, man. You guys.
Yeah. I mean, we had it.
You're
before.
refreshing.
Yeah, we had it before, and then we hit rock bottom, and then
Yeah.
we got it back. And
Yeah.
I think we don't want to lose it again, but we had to lose to understand what we had.
Like you'll go somewhere,
Yeah.
and you'll both see someone do something, say,
Yeah.
or see it, and you just go.
Yeah.
And Juanita and I love this with Juanita because it's like, it's less than a second.
Yes.
And it's a whole story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you guys can laugh for
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
without talking about the
Yeah.
invite.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah, that is.
Reading your partner's mind is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It's
reading
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we really, I mean, and when you have that, that just translates spiritually, but also just metaphysically into other things in part of your marriage.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think we were, maybe last year, I think we were having sex, and then it wasn't passion, it was comedy. And it was the first time in a long time we just laughed at each other.
Yeah.
In the middle of it, and we were just like, really? Are we seriously gonna sit here and have a conversation and make jokes about stuff and laugh, knowing we're actually supposed to be here to making love?
So in my head, I'm like, what could you have done at that? But don't worry.
I didn't pull a muscle, but it was one of those things.
Which muscle?
But the funny thing is, it was also refreshing too, because we went to a recent marriage retreat, and there were couples around the table, and there was this one couple that had been together, I think 2 years, and been married maybe 6 months or less, and she was like,
she's like,
I love sex. I love it. I love
How long
it.
they married now?
Him,
Like,
6 months.
Maybe less than that.
They've been together for 2 years. They were
Okay.
married for 6 months.
Okay.
And she was, I love sex, and I love it with him. And we done. After we done with this, we going upstairs, and they got no.
So she's
time.
telling you what she wants to do.
Oh no, she don't know what she been doing.
Okay,
And what
okay,
she wants to do.
okay.
Because she waited. She was abstinent until she abstained until she got married.
Yeah.
So she's like, now that it's
We're married.
appropriate,
on.
this is the best thing
It's
ever.
Yeah. And we were sitting there laughing, and I was just like, I remember those days. I was like, I cannot believe we were there at one point in time.
So midway, you just went, come, we're going upstairs. Come, let's go.
We need a 10-minute break.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to go first. Why him, why her? And you can answer that in the past and present tense.
Okay. I said yes to dating him because he was very different than anyone else I ever dated or was interested in. When I say very different, I mean like I was dating some
What?
interesting gentlemen
If you knew.
that
Okay,
weren't
okay.
necessarily making things very legally in their life.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Roadman. We call them roadman.
Roadman.
Yeah.
And then they were just
Roadman?
They were
Chief
corny.
Roadmans.
They were just corny, and lame, and my sister will probably tell you more. But they just weren't a fit for me. And then Charles came and blended in very seamlessly with my family. Like it wasn't a forced introduction. It was just like, hey, how you doing? He introduced himself. I didn't have to. So guys that I would date, they would come in and be very quiet.
There's a contrast there.
Yeah. So seeing someone come in and already kind of take ownership of being in the family was nice. Because I'm a date you to marry you type. I hated dating. I thought it was stupid. So if I don't see you blending with family, then that's kind of a turnoff for me. So seeing him blend so seamlessly was a immediate yes. And then just the laughter I have with him is different than anyone else because we're very similar in our sense of humor and the things we both enjoy. So my laugh with him is a different laugh than even like with you would be. So that's why I said yes. Why do I still say yes? Because he's my baby daddy and we here.
But now
And
you
I'm
know.
the only man that told her to take her around the world and get glue life on silver platter.
That you're not the only man. I told you that.
That's what she
I
says. We
just-
don't have proof. So at the end of the day, it makes my ego feel happy.
This is that connection.
It makes my ego feel happy. I think at the time, well, she was the first sister I had dated in a very long time.
The first black woman.
Well, black woman. Sister.
I get you. I was making sure. Yeah.
Sister. I had dated in a very long time. Because I had been hurt by black women before, and I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm sick and tired of this contradictory conversation around you want a good black man, but then you meet black sisters, and then you get these things like, oh, I just see you as a brother, or I don't like your type. So I was much more multicultural in a woman that I dated at the time.
He was dating a white girl.
And others. And so when I met her, I hadn't dated in about a year and a half. When I met her. And so she was a breath of fresh air. She was much different than the others that I dated. And I dated more, I wouldn't say pristine, but just different women. So I dated women of science.
More
who
intellectual.
Thought like me, who, which is probably why I didn't work, but women who certainly thought like me, who were women of science, I say, because they were mostly pharmacists or nurse, doctors, those kinds of things. They were younger, some were older, but they weren't sisters. And then she came along, and I was like, oh, this is very different. You know, you ever met someone who's from the suburb that thinks she's from the hood kind of life?
I'm not from the...
She was the girls that I would see at school who I would want to be with, but would never actually approach. Actually, never thought I even had a chance. She reminded me a lot of those girls from high school. And so it was really interesting to know that when she came around. Yeah, she was one of those. When she came, I was like, okay, we'll try this out. We'll see how this works. Why now? Outside of just being a baby mama, she took a chance on me, like a serious chance. Like, let's get pregnant. I mean, we got pregnant. Let's get married. Let's buy a house. Let's go overseas. Let's do another country. Let's think about another country after this. And while we have our arguments about some of that, it's always been, okay, sure, let's go. It's never been one of those things where, I don't necessarily think that that's right for you. I don't think you're ready for that. It's always been, why not try it? Why don't we do it? And so, even though I get upset about the petty stuff, about the food thing, like not trying new food, she's trying a new country with me. So it kind of outweighs it a bit. And I talk about, what was the next country? Now, even though we don't disagree, at least we recognize that we could go to another country. We could see somewhere else. We could live in a different context. And I think that's more important to me because I am, when you grow up, they tell you, are you a red or you're blue or you're yellow or green? And I'm a red. I'm a huge risk taker. I believe in taking risks. That's the only way you're successful in life anyway. And she's not, but she's willing to take the risk with me because she trusts me. And so for me, that means a lot because those are the only people, professionally and personally, I'm loyal to is people who take a risk on me, knowing I have flaws and faults, whatever the case may be. And so she says, why not? It's never been, well, you're not ready for that just yet. I don't think you're qualified for that just yet. She's just like, why not? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it does, okay, we'll talk about it when it gets there.
Respect.
So I appreciate that.
I love you too, baby.
No, whatever.
You can take the trash out later.
That will solve all these problems.
Exactly.
You got it.
Trash.
So a question I have for you is, how does God feature in this relationship?
He's center. Has to be. When we were going through a really rough patch, we weren't in church. And I think that played a big role in it. When we were living in a house in DC, we both were in church. We both had ministries we were serving on and very active. Our son, even though he was a baby, they say he was a part of the sound team because this guys in the soundboard will come and take him and be up there. He'll fall asleep with them during the service. They feed him and then bring him back. So we were very much a family in church. When we moved here, we were just here. The family was disconnected. The connection wasn't there at all. And we weren't even praying that much, if at
Together.
all, together, and that lack of spiritual connection to something bigger than us is what I think also drove us apart. When the devil sees there is a weakness, he'll attack that and drain it for all it's got. And I think that's what was happening to us at that time. So when I went away, one of the first things he made sure we did when I came back was go to a church and find a church home. So much so, I think he was going to churches you were going to churches while I was away, right? Mm-hmm. And like telling me, oh no, this one's not it, this isn't it. So when he felt like he found a church home that was good enough for both of us, that's when I came back and said, okay, this is where we're going on Sunday, and we're going to be one of the first people there, because we need that family that church offers to help bring us back into the light. So God has to hold up our marriage, at least. I'm not speaking for anyone else. You can choose to live how you want to live. But for us, God has to hold our marriage up, or else we will fall.
Yeah, I think I grew up going to church, but I think it was the first time I saw Imani's parents when they went to separate churches, and I experienced that for a year or two. A year or two before we got married, or while we were married and had a kid and things of that nature. And while it was fine, it worked for them. I didn't like it because I felt he was Amy, she was Catholic, but you still believe in God. And they did go to other churches for special events, but it wasn't an everyday thing. So there was a question about growth. And I remember her dad complained a lot about his own church. And I was like, why don't you go to the Catholic church? But he didn't want to be Catholic. And one of the things I told her, I said, if we do this, you're not going to a separate church. I'm not doing it. It's one thing I'm just not doing. I will not negotiate that. That's non-negotiable for me.
And I was the same too. We had to go to a church together.
Yeah. And the funny thing is when we moved to DC, we found a church, and it was called Pilgrim Rest. And it was interesting because we had just moved in. We were looking at church. We went to a number of different churches, and we kept passing this church. And we made fun of the church a couple of times. We were like, Pilgrim Rest, who names it? Because we always make fun of churches. We'd be like, welcome to Mount Zion, Greatest on the Hill, Baptist, Methodist, Episcopal, Seventh-day Adventist, Church of the Rock, God in Christ.
Marketing, bro.
It's
all about marketing.
For crying out loud, which church are you today? And we went to a number of churches. We kept passing. It was just like, Pilgrim Rest. Who names it church Pilgrim Rest? And one day I just said, let's just go check it out. And when I tell you we fell in love with that church, and we went there 3 times, and we joined. And our marriage got better, and we were involved, and it was there I realized I was told in many ways that I was going to be preaching, and I was going to be a minister. And I think we had to grapple with that and what that meant and what that looked like. And then we moved overseas, and we saw what happens when we're not in church, when we're not praying, when we're not engaged, when we're not involved. And I think once we found the Rock Church London, then we recognized Stratford High Street. Then we recognized, and it was very different for us. We had to learn how to be in God in a church in a cinema, which is very different for us because we don't.
Is that where you started going?
Yeah. They were in the cinema. Yeah. And they were actually we joined, and we were first skeptical of the Rock Church too because we always hear about pastors and their building funds. And that was the time we went, and he was like, it's the building fund, we're moving come March. And we were like, oh God, we're not going to be here much longer. And I left because I went to go to school, and we did a couple things, and we had kept coming back and forth. And they got into the building. She was like, oh no, it's legit. Yeah. It really is legit. Because I was away, and she's like, it's legit. So then I came back and started going to the church inside. Yeah. And we recognized, when it was right after we had gotten back together, we started going to this church. Yeah. And things just got better. It's because we had the same thing we had in the States, homes. We made this place our home. And I think that was the thing that God is our home. It is not a secondary thing. It's not a third kind of thing. It is our home. And we weren't complete without that piece. And I think that's why we had so many problems. We just weren't doing those kind of things.
Just to be clear, and I know, just to be clear for the viewers, it's not that you're saying the church building or the congregation is God. You're saying that it enhances through the community. And when you come home, you're bringing some of that home, and it helps.
It's
build
that residual love that you get.
There is something that we have to do together that isn't the home, that isn't the work, but that's something else that connects us with God, and that is the church.
Yeah.
I agree.
This is it. Last question. Your number one tip for married or becoming married, engaged, wherever you want to hit it.
Number one tip.
Just one.
Just one. That's hard.
Love the flaws too. When I started to love his flaws, I started to love his growth even more. So he works. Yeah, he works like crazy hours. But it's his determination that I love 20 times more than that. So his work schedule, although it is demanding, seeing his determination, seeing his wins at work make me love him that much more. So I love his flaws more than anything, because that's where I really find the nuggets in us, in our relationship. Your tip?
Why I gotta come up to that? I should have gone first.
Yeah.
Whatever
you say now is just like...
It's just like, does it matter now? No, I think one of the things we did that I think most couples need to do is I think you just need to go through every single topic and talk about your perspectives. I think the issue is you wait until the situation actually happens, and then you start to learn who that person is, and then it's too late because that person has now exposed something to them that you may or may not like.
So it's like more preemptive.
Yeah, I think you need to talk about, okay, where do we stand on abortion? Where do we stand on homosexuality? Where do we stand on raising our children? Where do we stand on finances? Where do we stand on living? Where do we stand on future? What does your finance look like? What does your credit score look like? How do you plan on saving? If you don't ask those questions, if you just assume because the person always pays dinner or can buy you gifts or they have a house, doesn't necessarily mean that they're all put together or that you share the same perspective. And I think if you're going to spend the rest of your life with someone, you need to be able to you need to put the hot topics on there, because when she met me, she didn't realize how much of a Republican I am.
But you're not.
In my thinking in some ways.
Yeah.
And so it was a shock for her. She was like, "You're black and a Republican?
Yeah.
Really? Like it's like a black Tory for you guys?" And you'd be like, first of all,
we don't have those.
We have one.
She's in the Conservative Party.
No, he.
Who's he?
He is now. He's the chair of the Tory Party. He's a black guy. He's mixed, I think. But
I know. He's Chukwuemeka.
No, I think his name is Terry something.
I should know.
Or something. But
anyway,
it's not. Believe me, it's not.
They do exist, is what you're saying.
They do exist.
Yeah.
And so you have to recognize what happens if you're going to marry someone, if they actually have a different political view than you. Because she will sit we had an argument. She was pregnant and we were watching TV. And we were in our studio apartment. We were just recently pregnant.
I thought you were going to tell them when we were at the bar.
No. We were and Trayvon Martin just got shot.
Oh.
And she said, "Oh, this is so ridiculous. I can't believe it." And she was talking about going out to protest. And I said,
I wasn't going out to protest. I wanted to love on people.
I said, okay. Excuse me? I said, to hell you are. So I know it happens at protests. Because it goes great, and then something happens, and then she falls over and she has a miscarriage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're pregnant at the time?
Yes.
It's not going to happen.
And my response to that was, but that's life. You get over it. She looked at me and she said, is that what you're going to tell our son? And I said, yes. There are people in this country who get shot, rightly or wrongly. At the end of the day, we have to recognize where we are in society and what our contribution to society is. I can't do anything about Trayvon Martin's situation. I can't do anything about black men and police officer situation. I can go and vote. that's what I can do. And I can go in and educate my area about how I feel about the situation. But I can't change that by going and protest and thinking it's going to happen because it's not. She then lost her mind. But at the time, we should have had that conversation before that happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't until that moment she recognized, who the hell did I just get engaged to? And I'm about to have your son.
It was the
I'm
worst.
pregnant.
It was like
I'm pregnant.
It was like, wait,
I'm pregnant.
can I reverse some of this?
This is what I'm
Because
saying.
this ain't, but the thing is, and that's why I tell people, there's so much that has happened in the last 15 years for you to have a conversation with your partner and understand where you're going to be. Because I don't think she realized how she would consider unwoke I was, or how laissez-faire that didn't affect me. Like, I wasn't in my room crying. I wasn't upset. I wasn't going to go put a hoodie on and say, you're going to shoot me too. Like, nah, because then my response would have been, well, why don't you just walk around in a suit instead of walking around in a hoodie? But no one had that conversation.
Do you think that now still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's irritating.
right.
But you know, Juanita and I are complete opposites. We're completely opposite, and the fact that neither of us is looking to back out means that we have to now learn how to meet in the middle, which is what we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
And saying that, I was very liberal when we met, then very conservative, I mean extremely, and then I've gone back in another circle again. And I'm balancing out, so I'm almost like you, I'm like at this end of the spectrum and at that end, and it does affect the relationship, because not only did I have those political views, but I had those same conservative views in my religious, which affects the way I have a relationship.
Yeah.
And then I learned the hard way that through a lot of conflict and seeing her tears, that I have to meet people where they are. And sometimes not say something that I think, keep it to myself, to sometimes not offend.
But not to be distinguished to who you are, though.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm cool with keeping it here a little bit. I can go,
You need to learn that.
but
Jesus.
but you know what? She knows who I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just that I don't keep stirring.
Yeah.
Man, we could talk forever.
You really could. Sorry.
We got time.
How much memory we
The
got left?
camera's down. We got time. I mean, we're in no rush.
All right, plan. I'm with you. This really is our life. You be saying stuff and I just be like, okay.
Those are all the questions I have, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
But what usually happens is, when we say, all right, we're done, that's when the conversation starts.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, we're on this on the camera and off the camera.
Let me get this on
We're just as loud and crazy on and off.
Yeah, it doesn't
Insta.
matter.
stay there.
Especially since we work together-ish.
How'd you do a live on this?
We
Please. I have no idea.
There you go. But it's flip. You want me to flip the other way? There you go.
No, this way. Is it live now? Is it going?
No, hit the. Yep. Now you're live.
Ooh. Do you mind?
No, it's fine. Hey everybody.
Just keep
Are
it
they
this
on
way.
yet?
Just
You'll
keep
see
it
names pop up at the.
She said, "Just keep it this way." See how disrespectful? Don't be disrespectful in your marriage.
You'll see names pop up at the bottom that says, like such and such has joined.
We're telling more followers
Okay, so it takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes
Which
a
is
while.
fine.
Yeah.
No, that makes it.
Oh, right here.
I was gonna say, set it.
Hold on, guys.
But it'll be
No, it'll
projected
be
sideways.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
this way. Put
You
it behind the flower.
Sorry, everyone. We are. Oh,
Okay.
Daryl Lewis and 13 joined already.
But they
Hi.
can't see you.
They
Did
can
I?
see us.
I
Oh,
look
they
cute
can't.
enough.
Put it there.
Don't.
Oh yeah, put it back there, hon.
Oh. Well, hold on, guys. Oh, people are joining. But yeah, I mean.
Introduce yourself. They don't know who you are.
Hi, everyone. I am Minister Dr. Charles.
You gotta throw them out there. Let's say they respect you, man.
Might as well. Might as well.
You have to.
No, I'm Charles Prince. This is Imani Prince, and we want to welcome you to our home.
we're having a conversation with Curtis about marriage. So post your questions and let us know if you have any questions. We're happy to answer them live here on Instagram.
It's question time now.
Yeah,
okay.
we can open questions.
So we got to bring it in then.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay. Well, I can see from here. She's blind, so I can. It's okay.
I'm not blind. I just don't have my contacts.
It's okay. But if you have any questions, you can post them online. We're gonna have an open dialogue and conversation about marriage. You can catch us on the recorded version that Curtis will put up in a couple of weeks. Did I miss anything else?
Bro, keep going, man.
You're doing so
well. You got that Fox News vibe.
Actually, remember me and Manny went to Sky News and we did the whole Sky News thing.
What do you mean?
At the O2 Center.
In Greenwich,
you can walk up to the station and they give you a pre-recorded and they say do and they do it and then you have to read the script who's gonna be what. It's really cool. Me and Manny did really well together.
I think you would have a show. You should have a show.
Oh God, no.
Maybe next year.
Because I was saying, Juanita and I always say that if there's a debt, it's our debt.
Yeah.
It's not. She's not. She's struggling. She hasn't got. Yeah. We don't have a she or they. It's us. So if there's £1 million debt and I got £1 million in my bank, it's covering the debt. It's our debt.
Unless you have a prenup, it's ours.
What are you doing with a prenup now?
We don't have prenups. We didn't do a prenup.
You don't do prenups.
I actually asked her. I challenged her. I said, "Let's get a prenup."
Why don't you do it?
The hell?
She was like, "Well, I plan on divorce before we get married," and I was like, "That's the one I want to marry."
A prenup? That's literally looking at the end of it, and you ain't even said I do. Not to say if he hits the lotto and stashes money away, and then we get a divorce, I'm gonna come knocking on your door for the money. I should have enough faith in my partner that he's going to take care of me regardless of it all. Honestly. Yeah, I wouldn't sign a prenup anyway. No one wants you except me.
That's
What's
not
a prenup
true.
going to do?
That's what she thinks.
No one
She saw my
wants
phone
you.
and my social life. No, I'm kidding.
You two's jokes, man.
But it is a you need to have that conversation though. Do you want to sign a prenup?
But these are very American topics.
You think?
Yeah.
You
Or
don't,
rich people topics.
do people here not get prenups?
It's not that they don't. It's just that it's more of the real rich folk that might consider that. Whereas America, the women do really have to ask the question to their man, like, "What's your credit rating?" and stuff like that. Whereas here, we don't engage in that so much. We just get into relationships.
Oh no.
But I think it's more of an issue in America because I think America is more private, more privatized. It's far more capitalized. So I think you have to ask those questions.
But you learn your partner's spending habits when you see their financial portfolio, so to speak. So the reason why he's in charge of the books and not me is because I'm horrible when it comes to money and finances.
Yeah, but are these prerequisites to
marry?
your choice of man? Like his credit, I don't know what credit ratings are like in America, but no one checks here. No, who checks? Who does that here? And who discusses credit rating in the UK? Nobody.
Do you not discuss buying a house?
At the point of buying a house, that's when you will find out. Last question before we wrap up.
It's not. We'll be here we'll be talking till midnight. Y'all have questions? Y'all can ask us. It's fine. We'll answer them.
All right, I've got a question. Briefly, what's the differences between you? Married, well, for you guys who have just joined us, married for 5 years, together for 7 years. They have a 4-year-old young boy who is about nearly 6 foot tall. The tallest 4-year-old I've ever seen.
The tall 4.
What's the differences between you? Who's going first?
Go ahead. I've been talking.
It's like I'm Cardi B. Okay.
Oh God.
Explain that.
I'm very loud in your face. Want to have fun all the time.
But you're sticking your tongue out though.
Energy.
No.
I'm trying to, tame it down. He's more like,
I'm a Barack Obama.
Obama. But that still works. That works.
That does work.
That works. Cardi B and Barack, man.
Yeah, he's more Barack and to the point politician and always on, even when we're walking across the street, he'll wave to imaginary people saying he's preparing for his inauguration into office. Crazy stuff. And then I'll be next to him like, hey, what's up? So that's our differences.
Yeah.
It's
We're
night
very,
and
very
day.
different.
It's
Yeah,
night
it's
and
very
day.
night and day.
It's
I'm not a current affairs in as far as culture and
Pop culture.
Pop
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
I
I'm
can
more
put
of
on
a current
Migos.
events.
He wouldn't know who Migos is.
I don't know who that
I
is.
don't care it is either.
Who the heck is that? Is that
I'm more current
what is that?
affairs,
A movie?
foreign policy, education.
Is that a
that's
box
my
set
thing.
on Netflix or something? It's a rapper.
That's her
He's a
problem.
rap group.
It's a rap group. What's it called?
People.
Migos.
Yes. Migos. Migos.
Migos.
Yes.
Was he Mexican?
No, it's.
See, does matter now?
Bro.
No, it's irrelevant.
Bro.
But we're very different in our interests. We're very different in in how we carry ourselves, how we engage with people, and that's pretty much how it is. I'm very formal. I'm very nice, very friendly, but very formal. She's like, it's anyone. Let's go, have fun, and But she doesn't trust a lot of people either. She'll be nice, but she trusts you, which is very different. I'm like, I give people the benefit of the doubt until you screw up one time and then it's over. Like you don't get 3 chances, you get 1, and then you're out. So we're very some ways we're similar, but we're very very different.
Yeah. He'll invite anyone over to our house, and I'm like, but do you even know their last name? Like, how you just gonna invite a stranger over? He's like, well, they said, they wanted to try your food. I'm like, what? No, you can't just invite people over.
Eat on my forks.
Like,
Right.
he'll invite anyone and everyone over, and then I have to play good hostess. Yeah.
That's a spiritual gift, hospitality.
Yeah, it is, and I don't got it. I don't have it.
Yeah.
I'm working on
We
it.
gotta have. Come on, you can come downstairs.
Yes, sir.
Let's end it there, brothers and sisters. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. We look forward
Thank
to
you,
hearing
thank
your
you.
comments about our interview. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Oh my God, help us.
How do I end this? All right, end
And
end video. Okay. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, bro.
go to bed. Go lie down.
All right, now for you.
Close the
Boy,
door.
get your butt in your bed.